West Hill United is a progressive spiritual community where how you live is more important than what you believe. West Hill United is a people, a place, an idea. We are a community living out of a progressive faith, striving to make a positive difference in our own lives, the lives of others, and the world. Join us Sundays at 10:30 a.m. or connect with us at any time.
Today's first reading is from the Find the Source of Your Loneliness by Henri, Nouwen, from the Inner Voice of Love. Whenever you feel lonely, you must try to find the source of this feeling. You are inclined either to run away from your loneliness or to dwell in it. When you run away from it, your loneliness doesn't diminish. You simply force it out of your mind temporarily. When you start dwelling in it, your feelings become stronger and you can slip into depression. The spiritual task is not to escape your loneliness, not to let yourself drown in it, but to find its source. If you can identify the place where these feelings emerged, they lose power over you. This identification is a task of the heart. With your heart, without fear, you search for that place. This is an important teach because it leads you to discern something good about yourself. The pain of your loneliness may be rooted in your deepest vocation. You might find that your loneliness is linked to your call to live more completely. Your loneliness may be revealed to you as the other side of your unique gift. Once you can experience in your innermost being the truths of this, you might find your loneliness is not only tolerable, but even fruitful. What seemed painful may then become a feeling that opens for you the way to an even deeper knowledge of love. See what we did there is we put a very moving song between the readings, nicely placed and nicely performed and nicely written, and it's very touching. The second reading. To whom do I belong? Do I belong to you? Does your whim, your wish, my pleasure? Am I your property? Do I belong with you? Is the language I speak, place of birth, of much worth to you? Am I welcome to stay with you? Do I belong with you? Can I make my home among you? With you? Can we share our lives together? Love and laughter? Maybe not a happy ever after, but can I belong with you? That's brought to us from Nick, offered as wisdom for the journey. May we walk
in its light.
Thank you, everyone, for welcoming me here today. Once again, it's a privilege and an honor to be here on such a momentous day. So, to whom do I belong? Do I belong to you? These are the words of the poem by Anthony J.P. we heard today. The more I continue in my psychotherapy and spiritual care program, the more I see this question becoming central to my life. Belonging. I'm currently completing an intensive summer placement at Scarborough General Hospital. And I'm working there as a spiritual care practitioner. The role of the spiritual care staff is a recent terminology. It used to be called the chaplain. Sometimes when I'm on the hospital floor with the nursing staff, I'm called chaplain by the well-meaning patients and nurses who see me in a particular role at the hospital. And that role carries with it certain expectations. It used to be that the minister would be at the hospital to dispense grace and counseling to the sick and the suffering. When people call me chaplain, I'm quick to tell them that I am neither ordained nor representative of a single religious tradition. I wear plain clothes at the unit and have a badge which identifies me as a spiritual care intern. One of the things that I have been formed in throughout my vocational life, throughout my journey through religion and through training and all this experience, is the importance of inculcating the social power in the other person rather than simply taking it for myself. While I develop my own inner power, we bring out the inner power in those we are around. What this means is that I strive every day to grow in my understanding as a human being, and in my own private life, but also in the shared space of human community. It's no longer about me, just about me, but it's an opportunity to share the gift of me with those around me. So, one of the interesting things that I've been doing in this hospital placement is, so how it works is 3 days a week, me and 5 other students at the hospital who are also going through the similar program as myself, we engage in something that our placement calls IPR, also known as interpersonal relationships. So what is IPR? IPR is basically a seminar or a group learning session where us six students sit in a room with our supervisor who runs the placement, who themselves, the supervisor, is a registered psychotherapist and a spiritual care practitioner. And we're given time to talk about whatever is coming up in us, in our work with patients, and as a community of us students living, working, struggling together. What's coming up in you, they'll say. How are you feeling? Tell us what you think. Now, IPRs in the student community have a little bit of notoriety about them, these IPRs, because the main goal of the IPR is to basically bring about authentic and constructive communication between students by slowly encouraging them to share with each other what they're really feeling and what they're going through. So very often this means that students will share with each other the moments they felt hurt, maybe by another student's words or actions, maybe by what they see on the floor, on the hospital floor, the times they felt powerless, we felt overwhelmed while working. And sometimes we share our hopes and our dreams and our fears. And we share that with the group, and we build together in this relational time. So the point of IPR is to take us out of our comfort zone, out of social distancing, protection of one's self-image. And take us out of, challenge our assertion that everything is just fine. You know, sometimes we ask, how are you doing? We say, oh, I'm fine. And sometimes we're basically saying, oh, I have no negative feelings. Don't go there. I don't want to go there. So while IPR often starts on that sort of polite forming experience, oh, hi, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing well. There is what they call storming moments, where there eventually in any relationship become times for expression of disagreement and negative emotions. And that's in order for authentic relating to truly take place. So when I came to my placement and my IPR, I myself had reservations about the process. As a young person, I was often said to be too sensitive. That was the kind of person I was. Experiences of bullying, being made to feel weak by other peers. One of the things I was afraid of from my own history with IPR was being brought back to those days when it was made known to me that my own feelings were seen as a personal failing. Have we ever felt that we couldn't belong, that we were not held in ways that we should have been in our past? So one of the things, I have a desire. I think we all have a desire to be known for who we are, to be able to express our own uniqueness and a perspective. And maybe that perspective is idiosyncratic. Maybe we don't always go with the flow, but it's still us. And it can be harmful if people say, oh, that's too awkward or too fragile. It's not appropriate for the group. So these were some of the fears I had in this IPR. But it might not just be in IPR where these fears manifest. We all have fears. It might be at our workplace, in the family, or even within ourselves, where we learn to hide the full freedom of our personality, to keep a mask on of imperviousness, of fearlessness. But sometimes we can feel truly alone. In one of our readings today, Henri Nouwen, he encourages us to find the source of our loneliness. Nouwen says that when we run away from our loneliness, it does not really diminish. It just puts it out of our mind temporarily. In my own struggle for belonging, I've often gone with what works. Maybe I don't always tell my peers what I'm really thinking. Maybe I don't tell them what I'm feeling. I put on a good mood. I be agreeable. Be positive, they say. But sometimes we end up waiting to share ourselves, waiting for a better time, a better place, a better person to come along for when we can truly belong. Thankfully, it was in this IPR work with a great supervisor who was a very deep and engaged human being. I was able to feel encouraged and safe to take that risk of being more who I really was around my cohort. Ajit, his name is Ajit, the supervisor. So Ajit said to me, Nicholas, I have complete confidence in you. He encouraged me to show others what I was trying to avoid saying. And he said that it was okay to be scared. And that in my own time, in your own time, you can open up. You can talk about those moments of insecurity, of the hurt and the fear. When I shared with the group the things that I was really afraid of saying, I was shocked to find out that the group members were encouraged by what they saw. And they saw strength in my sharing rather than weakness. Rather than viewing these weaknesses and challenges of my own life in an unpleasant light, it's something to be pitied. It was a strength. my group truly received me in that frankness and in that kindness. So in these moments of receiving, truly receiving, there are no winners, no losers, but just people sharing their feelings and thoughts about a moment. It's in those moments of honest and compassionate sharing that in my IAPR group, I experienced true belonging, a deeper belonging. In these moments, we can experience a new life, a truer reality. And what is that true reality? What is that truth? It's that we belong. We can belong. Not just an environment of psychotherapists and caregivers, but within ourselves we belong, wherever we go. So in our poem today, Anthony J.P., the author, asked the question, can I make my home among you? This question, can I make my home? It speaks to something deep within the human heart. We humans have always craved belonging, I think. It's a necessary part of our survival. Exile from a community might have been considered the worst sentence to inflict in the past. Today, in a divided culture that we may be living in, ostracism can be a weapon. It can inflict harm on us that maybe we don't fit with the program so much. Either we accept what is being pushed from another point of view forcefully. Either we accept it, or we're not accepted into the ranks of acceptable society, it would seem. There's a threat, a social threat, when we're not being received, but when there's a pressure being put. But see, belonging is that profound need. It's bigger than any one ideology or one way of doing things. Belonging is something more than that. It's not just going with a program. So how do we find our sense of belonging in an increasingly polarized world? Are we not made for one another? Should we just give up, go back to our apartments, our homes, close the door to our room, and return to a place of protection? Everything's fine. Don't ask me about how I'm feeling. In that place of protection, the growth can't take place fully. It may take place in part, but not fully. We're meant for sharing ourselves. It is our joy, our means of awaking into the fullest potential of human achievement. The tenderness of belonging is a doorway into the power of life. It is an evolutionary odyssey. True progress takes place at the center of belonging. You know, in our past history with maybe Christian religion, there was an attempt to create a belonging. You know, there are many images of belonging that we use. The God image has been used as an attempt to produce human belonging. If we go with the plan, if we listen to this fatherly figure, if we obey, then we achieve our belonging, our fuller life. That was the plan. That was the program. Unfortunately, this vision for belonging demanded too much and was built on flawed values of human interaction when there's a demand of the person. Has this notion of a fallen human needing to obey in order to belong at risk of going astray. This model has since begun to break down. And out of the ruins of what we've come from emerges a new vision. There are other imperfect visions for belonging. Another imperfect vision for belonging might be political partisan battling so much, where one's ideals is imposed no matter the cost, no matter the damage done to the community as a whole. Culture war, civilization, battle of mind and ideal. It seems this has brought more borders and boundaries rather than brought them down. The more a person attempts to control another, the more the other shuts themselves away into that room of protection. Our highest ideal becomes source of some's greatest disillusionment. Our pursuit of order brings chaos. An inflexible demand for liberation becomes tyranny. So, where does belonging take place? Does it take place at the hard edges of ideology or in the multipolar spaces of vulnerability? That is what I believe, in the latter. Where do we find our belonging? We find it right here, right now, through our engagement with that tender experience of the other in our hearts. What are we really feeling? What's going on inside the person? And how can you communicate that safely in a shared way with other beings? This sacred belonging, this shared space. Our intelligence allows us to find wisdom through the feelings that reside in our hearts. And so it's important that those around you receive your lived wisdom. We want to hear what you're feeling and thinking. There is a wisdom in every one of our experiences. So communicating what we're thinking and feeling, that becomes a shared space. Just like in the IPR, at first I was apprehensive, but when I was signaled to by those who cared that this was a safe place, the bonding, the creative endeavor could take place. And so that yearning for belonging, that stays with us, that yearning, don't run away from that yearning, as Henri Nouwen says. It propels us to new life, and it opens up our whole experience. It is the heartbeat of the center of the world. And so, this creativity that we find in our belonging, our shared belonging, each and every one of us, it is our journey. In my journey, through this placement and through my own history, I realized my own belonging, my own right to live, not just in a private place of protection, but in the grand house of the world. May each and every one of us know that belonging, and may you share your joy, your life, and your vulnerability with those around you. Thank you.
Thank you. The theme of belonging is perfect. And I don't know if we gave you this last time. You are bereft of our symbol here, which is candle wick, which when we put it on each other's wrists, we say to each other, and this is what I will do. In fact, everyone should say that to him. You are light. You are light in the world. And we thank you for this. So thank you very much. This fellow has an assignment due tonight. so he cannot stay for the lunch. So if he walks through that room, he might be able to grab a strawberry and continue going. But thank you, Nick, for being here.
Become a sustaining champion of West Hill United's work by committing to an automatic monthly donation. Learn more or donate now through Canada Helps.